Som dere jo skjønner, så jo mye av de problemene som vi ser, og som vi jo har en mye bedre, i Norge har en mye bedre standing på nå, fordi at vi jo kanskje ser de problemene mer enn det amerikanerne gjorde, men USA også fundert på veldig dårlige føtter. Mye dårligere enn det man kanskje aner. Det jo det som Dean skisserer her. Så monopol på spill som kom, mange flere spilletilbud, TV, hvordan man brukte pisk, hvordan man behandler hester. Dette jo spørsmål som vi også som hete for oss også, har vært de siste årene, og kommer til å bli mye mer. Jeg har lyst til å spørre din om hvorfor det har gått den veien som man skisserer med amerikansk travsport, og ikke minst hvilken kunstig åndedrett som disse spilleautomatene for staten. Så Dean, why is it that American trading has declined in interest over those years, and which impact is the slot machines? Just to end the story part here, which impact has the slot machines in positive and negative way, and why is it that the sport has declined?
Well, I'll take the sport's decline first. I think it's I think the world changed, and harness racing didn't change. I think that when the New York State started off-track betting, as I said, they fought it and they fought it and they fought it. And somebody said they would have, if they'd been smarter, they would have said to the state, let's see how we can work together. But the state won, and the racetracks in New York really went downhill. And the whole sport went downhill. There's off-track betting in other areas. But then in the state of Delaware, in the 1990s, I think it was, somebody came up with the idea of let's put slot machines at the racetracks, because there's already betting, gambling going on at the racetracks. We'll have these slot machines, and we'll use some of the money from the slot machines to pay the purses in harness racing. And I want to tell you that the state of Delaware, a very small state, kind of around Maryland and New Jersey, had just the lowest, about the lowest type of purses, lowest quality of racing before the slot machines, and then everybody got rich. Because the slot machines were pouring money into the purses, good horses were going to Delaware, good drivers were going to Delaware, big races were going there. And then the province of Ontario in Canada passed legislation that would allow slot machines, and the purses in Ontario went up. And both areas, Delaware and Ontario, and Harold can tell you a lot more about Ontario than I can, good, strong trotting areas, good, strong history of harness racing, but the purses weren't too good, better in Ontario than they were in Delaware. But everyone now said, wow, if it worked for Delaware and it worked for Ontario, why not us? Because they were desperate. They saw tracks closing, they saw the public support going down. I think the big problems with harness racing is that, as I said, the world changed and harness racing didn't change. I think the people, they had the same people running the racetracks that ran it when they had a monopoly on betting. And now they had competition from some state lotteries and other sports and things like that. They didn't know how to react to the competition. The world was changing. So now everybody wanted slot machines. Well, of course, because it's easy money. You don't have to promote racing. You don't have to depend on the betting. All you do is just have to have slot machines and count the money. And in New York State, after the terrorist attacks of September 11th in the year 2001, the New York State Assembly passed a law allowing slot machines at tracks. It took a long time for them to really come into being. There were a lot of problems, and Yonkers was a big track in New York, but it was late. And then Pennsylvania, in July of 2004, the legislature approved slot machines at racetracks, and they told the people in Pennsylvania, this is we're going to take some of the money from the slot machines and reduce your taxes. I like lower taxes, you like lower taxes, So you have slot machines, and the horsemen loved slot machines because the purses got so much better. And then the state of Indiana, a couple years ago, they got slots. And what has happened in the state of Indiana is just amazing. And they did not have any wagering on racing in Indiana until 1994, 15 years ago. 15 years ago, they did not have betting on races in Indiana because all they had was racing at the county fairs, small purses, you know, with cheap horses, no betting. Now, then they got pari-mutuel betting, and now they have slots, and guess what? Indiana is like heaven. Everybody wants to race in Indiana. So I tell people that we have, you know, in America we have the slots and the knots. If you have a state that has slot machines, you're rich, you're happy. Short-term rich, short-term happy. But if you have a state, like my state of Ohio, doesn't have slot machines, you're dying. And racing is dying in the state of Ohio. And we're trying to get slots because everybody wants slots. It's like, you know, free money. But slots have meant salvation for racing. Nobody thinks that slot machines at the racetracks are the long-term answer. Because what you have, you go to the races and you have very good horses, breeding faster horses than ever before, and you look in the tribune in the grandstand and you have 37 people watching the live racing. You go into the casino and you see 4,000 people playing the slot machines. And that's a formula that won't last. That's a formula that won't last.